Minute mindfulness. Let's look at perfectionism today. I often hear clients talk about perfectionism as if it's a valued trait that fosters success, similar to how many people talk about workaholism. Yet the research shows emphatically that perfectionism is a hindrance to success and creativity. The research shows us that perfectionism is often a major contributor to depression and anxiety. It contributes to these ruminating thoughts in our mind as we turn over every rock to make sure we've made the right decision. It can foster feelings of stuckness, that inability to make a decision because we're afraid of making the wrong decision. So now there's a difference between personal excellence, or this healthy striving, and perfectionism. So let's look at the difference. So perfectionism is that underlying feeling that I need to do well or accomplish this in order to avoid shame, blame, or criticism. The driving force behind perfectionism is focused on being good enough, avoiding failure. The focus is worrying about what those people out there will think of me. Our motivation is to get a desirable response from other people. Perfectionism is not motivated by showing up as my best self, by showing up as the best version of who we are. So when the focus is on other people's appraisal of us, we tend to get caught by comparing ourselves to others. And am I better than them, or are they better than me? Am I a better teacher than they are? Are they a better teacher than me? You know, this whole perfectionism sets up our interactions with others to be either based on superiority, I'm better than them, or inferiority, like they're better than me. Both of which are hindrances to deep, authentic, or meaningful relationships. Brené Brown says, where perfectionism exists, shame is always lurking. So they're tied together. Personal excellence, or healthy striving, on the other hand, is based on showing up as our best self. It asks questions like, man, I don't think I did as well as I would have liked to, or as well as I could have. What could I do to improve next time? How could I make that better? Personal excellence is striving to be the best version of who we are. It's not based on comparing myself or my performance with anyone else. It sets the stage to see our humanity. It sees my own fallibility. It sees my own imperfections, because I need to see where I'm imperfect, where I fall short, in order to improve. So when I'm able to show up as the best version of who I am, then I have taken care of me by getting the proper rest, by feeling prepared, by living in a way that's congruent with my inner constitution. I protect my well-being. All of those things go into showing up as my best self. So I have to see where my limits are, where my fallibility is, where my imperfections are, so that I can set proper boundaries, so that I am able to show up as my best self. Perfectionism doesn't see limits because I'll just work harder, or I'll sleep less, and I'll just get the job done. I'll just do it. But when I don't see my limits that would hinder me from being perfect, it stops me. It becomes self-destructive. This perfectionism will keep going until I may build this brick wall and cause harm to my health or relationships, or I might feel completely lonely. I may never ask for help. This brick wall is what becomes of that brick wall that I build. So the perfectionist sets up life not needing help. It would be an imperfect thing to ask for help. And that would touch in on a lot of our shame. That would touch in on the shame that goes with perfectionism. So as Brené Brown says, perfectionism is self-destructive simply because there's no such thing as perfect. Perfectionism is an unattainable goal. So we put ourselves in situations that we expect to attain the unattainable. So that's where the self-harm comes in. When we're caught by perfectionism, it may be super, super difficult to hear criticism, even when it's healthy, even when it's feedback to help us improve. When a perfectionism hears criticism, she usually hears how wrong or bad she is, because it's this unconscious expectation that I can't make an error, that I don't make errors. When someone points to where we don't want to look at, those shame demons become really loud. And we may shut down, we may get defensive, we may use anger and intimidation to change the conversation. We just want to stop those feelings of inadequacy when we start hearing those shame demons rev up in our mind. So we quickly build that brick wall around those sensitive parts. And we end the opportunity for growth, to be vulnerable. And that ends, we don't have authentic communication. So the only way to heal ourselves is to look at those places that scare us. The only way to tend that wound is to look at the parts that are sensitive. As Joseph Campbell says, it is the cave that we fear to enter that holds the gold we seek. So we must see our imperfections to unravel the hold that perfectionism has on us. When we allow ourselves to see our imperfections, our humanity, we also allow others to see our vulnerability, which grows connection, meaning, depth, and belonging. And that is tending the garden of our soul. And in time, we'll see those flowers bloom. So with that, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and let's meditate for about 15 minutes today. So find a posture that's upright, something that's alert but not rigid. And just take a few deep breaths to get present, to be here. Find your anchor, that breath, that in and out. And just know that that refuge, that breath, is always a place to return to. If ever feelings become too overwhelming or too big, just return to the breath. As we unravel the psychological knots that we create in our psyche, it's uncomfortable. But if we want to unravel them, we have to go toward those places of discomfort. So we walk toward that edge, and we just sit with that discomfort, just long enough to notice, to see, to let those emotions arise, to let those feelings be what they are without changing or fixing, without pushing away. Just that allowing. Is there a time recently where you tried to present your life as perfect or as there was nothing wrong. Maybe it was in a conversation with a friend. Maybe someone you hasn't spoken to for a long time. Maybe it's with a coworker. But did you just present a sense of perfection, that everything is going just swimmingly? But maybe inside there was something really different going on. Maybe inside there was like a sense of loneliness or sadness or insecurity, unsure of where you're going or how you're going to get there. Maybe you recently found yourself comparing yourself with everybody at work or in your circle of friends. Who's smarter? Who's more successful? Who has it all together? And what does it feel like to sit with that? Maybe feelings of inadequacy come up. Maybe it's failure. Maybe feelings of being wrong or missing the boat in some way. Like feeling like you just aren't quite making the cut. Maybe it's feelings of superiority. Maybe you can see how there's a sense of relief of being better than. Is it possible to hold these feelings, whatever it is that's arising, to hold them in our heart, to feel the disconnection, the separation that arises because of them? Do you feel how these ways of thinking don't promote closeness. They keep us from belonging in some ways. Can you feel that burden, that heaviness that arises from needing to always have this perfect picture to show other people? The isolation that comes from having to hold that image up. Now, as we hold those emotions, that sadness, that loneliness, that seeing clearly of what is it possible to wrap a blanket around your shoulders and pull it forward? Just wrap it around your body. And that blanket is acceptance. Feel the warmth, the coziness of this blanket around you. And can this blanket be a symbol of comfort and safety as you gently look into those places that feel tender? Is it possible to see that the nature of being human includes limitations? Your humanity and my humanity includes limitations. It includes imperfections. And it includes vulnerability. As you have that blanket of comfort still wrapped around your shoulders, still hugging you tight in a cocoon of safety, is it possible to see that your limitations do not make you bad or wrong, They're not mistakes. They're simply a part of you being human. When we see our limits, our fallibility, our humanity, we begin to see more clearly. And that's the process of becoming more whole, healing from the inside out, seeing what is and allowing it to be without pushing or pulling or wishing it to be different. Just curious attention, noticing, wondering, and learning. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Thanks for being here today. I think it's so funny that I'm talking about perfection and perfectionism, and all these things went wrong with my program and my computer and my internet. So it just goes to show how the lessons, there's always more to unravel, there's always more to unfold, there's always more to see, how does this play out in my life? How am I working with this now? Because it's so easy to not to think that we're past that or beyond that or better than that, or it doesn't affect us anymore. But anyway, then a situation happens and there it goes, it arises again. So that was my opportunity to look at my own perfectionism. How cool. Thanks for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.